my main task yesterday was to revise a CPAP troubleshooting resource that's going to be used at a conference or a set of conferences that I've agreed to take part in as the nurse practitioner who knows about sleep apnea and has managed a lot of CPAP. And there was one section that kind of got under my skin. You know, that one pet peeve where you're like, you see it or you hear it and you're like, ugh. And it was this. It was something along the lines of keep trying, don't give up. But it didn't go deep enough and it didn't go wide enough for my tastes. So what I did was I took out that little chunk, that little line, and instead I normalize the fact that when you first start on CPAP therapy, that air feels weird. It's new, it's different, you're not used to it. It's like, whoa, that is weird air. Whether it's too much or not enough, or you're just getting used to it. That is perfectly normal. And that does take getting used to. But that's not the part that I have issue with. The part I have issue with on don't give up or just keep trying is the fact that a lot of times when CPAP users come to their healthcare team and they say, this is what's going on, I can't tolerate it, I'm having this sort of an issue or this sort of concern or that sort of problem, they get told, just try harder. Guess what? That doesn't work. That absolutely doesn't work. Sure, time and place for this is new and weird and different, absolutely. But for all of the other scenarios where a patient or a CPAP user would come and say, you know, this is not working out for me, we need to be highly, highly sensitive to when our patients come or our CPAP users come and say, hey, this is not working out. So the question then is, okay, well, what's going on with it? And let's take air, for example. There's a lot of different problems that you can have with air. Usually when people first start off, it's number one, it's because it's new and weird and different and we haven't gotten used to it yet, right? That's normal. But then it's not enough air, especially if you're set with like an automatically adjusting 4 to 20. 4 is usually way too low for people. And sometimes even 5 is too low for people to feel like they can actually breathe. Or maybe the ramp is set too low or for too long. So if you're laying there in bed and you're like, okay, how much longer until I can actually breathe with this thing on? Like, there's setting changes that can be made, and we shouldn't be making you suffer under the guise of just try harder, just keep going. The other issue is when there's too much air. When the machine, for whatever reason, thinks, oh my gosh, give him so much air. And then you're there and you're like wrestling with your mask. It doesn't want to seal. It's like, it's like wrestling with an octopus. It's just not cooperating. And if you're every night having the machine just crank the whole way to the highest level of pressure that it's allowed to go, especially if you're in automatically adjusting mode, like that's not going to be a good scenario. If every hour and a half or every 2 hours your machine's waking you up because maybe you were in REM and you needed more air and the machine is like, give them more air. And then you wake up out of REM and you're like, wow, that's way too much air. Like, there are things that can be done for that. The last thing, I think the most important thing when it comes to the air is the idea of pressure sensitivity. And this is probably the hot button topic for me when it comes to air and when it comes to people coming to me saying, I can't handle the CPAP, I just can't do it. And they'll say things like, I'm suffocating or I'm smothering. Now, if you give somebody who's saying I'm suffocating or smothering more air without like diving deeper into the details of what's going on, you're gonna make their problem worse, because most likely suffocating or smothering is gonna mean that it's too hard to breathe out. So I always ask my patients, if I'm in a clinic situation or my coaching clients, if I'm in a coaching situation, is it too hard to breathe out? Is that part of your problem? Because just try harder does not work for too hard to breathe out. That's what expiratory relief or expiratory pressure relief is for, where it will lower the breathing out pressure by 1, 2, or 3 centimeters of water pressure. That's also where BiPAP a lot of times can shine, because BiPAP we can have the pressure lowered on breathing out. We have a lot more flexibility on that. So if somebody needs a difference of 4 between breathing in and breathing out, or 6 or 8 or 10, depending on the scenario. Now, when we get to the higher numbers and that difference between breathing in and breathing out, we're not just treating sleep apnea just then. We're going to be ventilating. And so there's usually something else going on there. But a lot of people fail CPAP therapy because they were told, just try harder, when in fact the actual issue was not their level of motivation, at least not till we blew them off and blew their concerns off. The actual issue is the details. The details. So if we're going to use EPR or a setting like it that's going to back off the pressure, we also need to be aware that it's not just a comfort feature. Whatever that EPR setting is at, and depending on which machine manufacturer and all of that stuff, that can actually impact therapy. And when it was marketed to healthcare providers originally, at least in my story, in my experience, it was, oh, it's just a comfort feature. Oh, it's just to help the patient get used to it. Nobody said anything about the fact that the breathing out pressure is the pressure that's actually getting the job done. So when we turn on EPR and we see our AHI go up, it's because our pressure that's getting the job done went from whatever the machine is telling us minus that EPR setting. This is not a hard thing to do, to adjust somebody's air settings to help them feel like they can breathe. I guess the other pet peeve I have when it comes to air and adjusting air is when a patient has told me, or a coaching client has told me, yeah, I told them I didn't have enough air. I didn't feel like I was getting enough air. And they said, the AHI looks just fine. You don't need more air. If the concern was, I don't feel the air anymore and the AHI is just fine, then I would agree. You probably don't need more air, unless there's something else going on in the story that has us concerned for your oxygen still going down, because that can happen with a good AHI. But if you're saying, I need more air, and you're being told, oh, your AHI is just fine, you don't need more air, that's garbage. That is absolute garbage. I'll give you more air. I don't want to blow you away, but we want to find that happy medium, that balanced place where you feel like you can put it on and go to bed and be done. That's the whole point, right? Put it on, go to bed, done. And then, get back to your life. Feel better. That's the point. And, I realize that everybody has a different reason for wanting to treat their sleep apnea. Some people, they're miserable now, and they're the right miserable now to be able to take action on that. Some people are really concerned about the future. I don't want to have a heart attack. I don't want to have dementia. And then some people are concerned because of external factors related to the legalities of having sleep apnea. If you're falling asleep at the wheel, or you're at increased risk for falling asleep at the wheel, whether you've done it already or not, because of untreated sleep apnea, do we really want you behind the wheel of a semi-truck? Do we really want you driving a bus with our children on it? Not to say that if that's your kind of situation, that you're an unsafe driver. I've met tons of commercial drivers and bus drivers, and one thing that I hear a lot is they're saying I'm an unsafe driver, and that nothing could be further from the truth. And you know what I say? I understand. The reality is that if a catastrophic health event is going to happen related to the untreated sleep apnea, because untreated sleep apnea has lots of health risks. It's not just a sleep problem. But if something bad is going to happen medically, it's not going to wait until you pull over. No, it's not going to wait until you pull over. It can happen at any time. So whether you feel sleepy or not, I think that is besides the point. Now, do some people feel sleepy? Yes. Are some people falling asleep at traffic lights? Yes. Should we be concerned about that? Abso-freaking-lutely, we should. A lot of folks are of the opinion, well, I'm old and, old people take naps. Well, that may be so. I'm not that old and I take naps. But the point is, we want, if you have sleep apnea, it's really important to understand what your why is, and to also understand that there are some scenarios where treating your sleep apnea is not just for you. We see it all the time with spouses. Like, sleep apnea, untreated, destroys marriages. And fixing the sleep apnea, when we do it well, and we're not putting all that cold air on the person sleeping next to us, and it doesn't sound like a helicopter in the bedroom, that is really, that can save marriages, that can save relationships. Like, people have gotten divorced over this. I'm pretty sure. Somebody check me on that. So anyway, this is a long drawn out conversation about why we should not be simply dismissing people who are trying to get their sleep apnea treated by just saying, just try harder. Let's not say, just try harder. Let's say, okay, tell me more. Tell me more about how it's going. I want to know how that air feels. I want to know how that mask is doing. I want to know what's different since you started your CPAP therapy. Because that's the other thing, is we oftentimes will promise people of the world, you'll sleep so much better. And then they come back with, but I already sleep fine. So how's that going to work? Well, it's not, right? So I always look back at the story and try to go, okay, so we were here and now we're here. What's different? What's different? And what of those things that's different is because you're actually treating your sleep apnea. I mean, that's kind of why treating sleep apnea is a low-hanging fruit, in my opinion. It's an often forgotten and ignored low-hanging fruit, but it's low-hanging nonetheless. We treat the sleep apnea, and then we can see what's left over. Like, if you're sick and tired of waking up with headaches, or you have nightmares, or you have leg cramps waking you up, or you're up for the bathroom every hour or 2 hours and you're like, oh Lord, I stopped drinking 3 or 4 hours before I go to bed and I'm still sitting here peeing all night. Could be from the sleep apnea. And just treating the sleep apnea by itself, for a lot of people, it can be enough to be helpful. If you found this video helpful and you are looking for help either with your CPAP or looking to understand your sleep apnea better and what your options are for treatment, we offer a sleep health and CPAP coaching through Hello Sleep Health. You can head over to our website and check out what we're offering there. It's www.hellosleephealth.com. I'm Carissa Hankins. I'm the founder of Hello Sleep Health. I'm a veteran nurse practitioner with loads of sleep medicine experience, and I'm here for you, and I'm here to help.